Hi, I'm Robert, 36. General surgeon, older brother, and until last month, the family's full-time emergency fund with a stethoscope. Last month, I gifted my sister a $320,000 condo at her wedding. She held it up in front of 180 guests and laughed. Wrong area. I'm not living in that cheap part of town. So I smiled, took her Audi, paused her rent transfers, and demanded every cent she owed me. The next morning, a white envelope was on my doorstep. The first time Naomi asked me for help, she was 22, freshly dropped out of her first grad program and trying to make rent on a studio apartment with no air conditioning and a fake fireplace. She cried on the phone while I was in the OR stitching up a lacerated spleen. "Rob," she said, "you're the only one who gets it." That's how it started. One transfer. Then another. By the time she was 28, and planning her wedding with a Pinterest board that looked like it was sponsored by Champagne and Delusion, I had quietly spent close to $150,000 on her. It didn't feel like a number then. It felt like duty. The morning of the wedding, I was on call. A routine gallbladder removal turned into a minor chaos party, and I left the hospital with chlorhexidine on my sleeve and adrenaline in my spine. I made it to the venue 20 minutes before the reception. The MC paused the music and said, "We'll begin with a special gift from the bride's brother." That's when I handed her the folio. Inside was the deed. Fully paid. Condo in a quiet, safe area 10 minutes from the hospital. Not flashy. Not Instagrammable. Real. She held it up, glanced at the address, and said into the mic, "Wrong area. I'm not living in that cheap part of town." People laughed. My mom covered a grin. My dad stared at his drink. The groom didn't look up. I didn't say anything right away. I just took the folio back and sat down. What they didn't know was the condo wasn't just a gift. It was a boundary. A tangible, notarized line in the sand. A real-world version of "this is the last thing." Naomi had called me her human ATM for years. She laughed when she said it, like it was cute. Like spending 2 a.m. appendectomies on her flower wall was a normal part of brotherhood. So when she mocked the condo, I didn't shout. I didn't storm. I just flipped a switch I didn't know I had. I let the night move on. Let the speeches happen. Let the donut wall crumble in the heat. And then, calmly, I revoked my funding. That night, I stopped her rent transfers. I scheduled the Audi for pickup. I prepared an itemized bill. The next morning, I found the envelope. White. No return address. Inside, a letter from Evan, her now husband. I didn't know. I found these in her email drafts. Attached were screenshots. Messages between Naomi and my mom. Naomi and the vendors. "Rob will pay. Invoice my brother." One list said, "Condo if I cry." That day, I made a spreadsheet. Everything I paid for. Everything I could prove. I sent it to my lawyer with one note. "Draft a repayment plan." The storm came fast. My mom called from a hospital line. "Stop this nonsense." My father threatened to cut me off. From what I didn't ask. Naomi went on Instagram and posted a story with the caption, "My brother stole my wedding car because he's bitter." She tagged me. So I posted a screenshot of the Audi registration with my name on it, and no caption at all. That's when the text turned to threats. A lawyer emailed me a demand letter, written on a Google Doc with a return address from my parents' house. I responded with an actual attorney and Evan. Evan showed up at my door with Naomi's house key and eyes that hadn't slept. "She gave me a choice," he said. "Either I defend her, or I'm not a man. I don't think I'm her kind of man." I poured him coffee. He didn't drink it. But he left the key and said he'd start paying back his half of the wedding costs. Even if we don't stay married. Naomi didn't sign the repayment plan. So we filed. I didn't post about it. Didn't rant. Just changed my passwords, updated my locks, and walked to the hospital like I always do. That's where I remember who I am. A man who cuts and mends. A man who works in blood and silence and truth. That's what I do now. I no longer fund people who think boundaries are betrayal. And if Naomi ever wants to speak again, she'll need to come without a bill. Or a bouquet. Or a key she never owned. 3 days after the wedding, Naomi posted a story with a quote that said, "Some people only love you when you're useful." Over it, in sparkly cursive font. "Let them go." She didn't tag me, but she didn't have to. The implication was clear. I was the villain now. By Friday, the family group chat was a dumpster fire. Aunt Mara Robert, apologize and give her the car back. Cousin Joel. It's just money, man. My mother. You are cruel. My father. Return the Audi. Or don't bother coming to Thanksgiving. Not a single person said. That was humiliating. Not a single person said. We're sorry. So I posted 3 screenshots. Naomi's list titled Ask Rob, the text to the florist. Don't worry, invoice him. He loves to feel needed. And the fake legal letter with the return address in my parents' handwriting. Then I turned off notifications and went to work. At 4:35 a.m., while a resident placed a central line and I charted through burning eyes, I remembered Naomi's bouquet, peonies, eucalyptus, white roses, $430, all charged to a card I didn't give her access to. It was the first time I laughed in days. Not because it was funny. Because the absurdity had curdled into clarity. By Monday, I had a new email from Naomi. Subject: You're doing this to punish me. The body of the message said, Mom says you'll cave eventually. You always do. That's when I realized how deep the rot had gone. It wasn't about a car. Or rent. Or even a house. It was about a belief that I owed them. That my title made me a bank. That being the responsible one meant I was obligated to carry everyone else's irresponsibility like a backpack full of broken glass. So I stopped. I canceled the shared phone plan. I removed Naomi from my insurance. I closed the joint credit card that she wasn't supposed to use but did, for a wedding DJ upgrade labeled Vibe Boost. I didn't write a speech. I wrote a statement. A real, legal repayment agreement, broken into monthly amounts with clear terms and due dates. And I sent it to her with a simple cover note. This is what you owe. This is what I'll accept. You have 30 days to agree or I'll pursue it in court. Please don't mistake my silence for weakness again. Naomi replied with a single line. You are dead to me. She included a crying emoji. I filed the document that afternoon. Evan reached out again. He offered to meet. I said yes, mostly because I was curious if he was going to try and pitch a truce, or if he was just another cog in Naomi's grievance machine. Instead, he handed me a check for $200. My half of the bar upgrade, he said. I didn't agree to it. But I benefited from it. That makes me responsible. It was such a strange sentence. I almost didn't know what to do with it. Did Naomi know you were writing this? I asked. No, he said. She'd say I was choosing you over her. Are you? He thought for a second. I'm choosing what makes me able to sleep at night. We sat on my couch in silence for a while. 2 men who were connected by a woman who used tears as leverage and love like a tab. Eventually he stood, shook my hand, and said, Thank you, for the mirror. I asked what he meant. That night, at the wedding, when she laughed at your gift, I saw her differently. And myself. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Sometimes the mirror is a gift, even when what it reflects is ugly. The lawsuit wasn't dramatic. It was boring, the kind of boring that makes people squirm, because boring is precise. My lawyer filed under unjust enrichment and conversion. We attached the spreadsheet, every receipt, every transfer. The line items alone read like an autobiography in missed vacations and sleepless nights. The total balance owed, $147,662. We gave Naomi 30 days. She responded on Instagram. A carousel of wedding photos. One slide was the Audi. Another was the deed in my hand captioned, The gift that came with strings. The final slide? A black screen with white text. Gaslighters wear stethoscopes too. The comments were wild. Queen energy. He's jealous of your success. You deserve better. One person said. This is why you don't take charity from family. I nearly choked on my coffee. She'd turned a condo into charity. She'd turned my silence into abuse. And people believed her. That's when I learned the power of the curated victim. If you cry loud enough, people don't ask for facts. They ask who hurt you and offer to carry pitchforks. But I had the receipts. And I had patience. And I had one thing Naomi had never learned to manage: consequences. By the 3rd week, her lawyer, a real one this time, reached out. They wanted to negotiate. I said fine. We could settle out of court. But the terms were the same. $1,000 a month. No interest. No penalties. Just discipline. Her lawyer balked. She can't afford that. I asked what part she could afford, the Audi, the open bar, or the floral arches. They didn't like that. But they didn't argue either. Meanwhile, the Audi sat in my garage. I started driving it once a week. Not because I liked it, I didn't. It smelled like coconut perfume and broken expectations. But I kept the battery alive because someday I'd sell it. Until then, it was a trophy. Not for winning, but for finally walking away. Week 4 came and went. No signature. No payment. So we served her. Official court notice, taped to the front door of my parents' house, because, shocker, she had moved back in. That's when the real weight hit. My mother called every day for a week. This isn't you. You're better than this. Family doesn't take family to court. I ignored them all. Until the 8th voicemail, where she said, "If your father dies from stress, that will be on your conscience." I texted her a link to the hospital's cardiac wing and added, "He'll get the best care. But this isn't stress. This is accountability." Naomi went quiet. Too quiet. Then, one night, my hospital operator paged me during an appendectomy. "Caller says it's urgent." Family. I asked for a name. Naomi. I finished the case. Washed up. Took the call. Her voice was syrup and shards. "I'll sign if you waive the back payments. Just the recent ones." I didn't say anything. She added, "Rob, you're not broke. You're a surgeon. Why are you being so petty?" I smiled. That same cold, efficient smile I give interns who say the bleeding will stop on its own. "This isn't petty," I said. "This is the bill coming due." And I hung up. 2 hours later, I got an email. Subject, agreement sign. Attached, the repayment contract. Every page initialed. Every term accepted. No apology. No note. Just the paper trail I needed to move forward. But the thing is, that wasn't the turning point. That came 5 days later, when Naomi posted a story that said nothing. Just a photo of an empty parking spot where the Audi used to sit. Captioned, "Some people don't know how to love. Only how to count." But counting, it turns out, is how you survive when love gets weaponized. 2 weeks after Naomi signed the repayment agreement, she tried a new tactic. A story on Instagram, a close-up of her tear-streaked face in black and white. Caption, "Some wounds aren't visible. Some are inflicted by people who claim to care." The comments poured in. "Stay strong, queen. He's not worth your light. Karma's coming for him." I didn't reply. I made chicken and read a journal article on pediatric hernias. But then, my hospital's chief of surgery pulled me aside. "Someone sent an anonymous complaint," she said, "alleging that you financially coerced a family member." I didn't blink. I handed her the entire folder I'd prepped weeks ago, signed agreements, receipts, the wedding speech transcript, the Instagram screenshots. She read silently, then closed the folder and said, "Thank you for being prepared. We've closed the matter." She won't try that again. Except Naomi always tries again. 2 days later, my insurance company called. Someone had attempted to add a vehicle to my policy. The Audi. Using my name. My address. Only Naomi had both. That's when I changed everything. New passwords. New locks. New code on the garage. I even switched banks, not because I had to, but because starting fresh meant cutting off every old access point. Every invisible thread she might still tug. My parents texted less, but not out of distance. Out of calculation. They were waiting me out. Hoping I'd get tired. Hoping this was a tantrum instead of a stance. But I didn't get tired. I got still. There's a difference. I used to answer every 2 a.m. buzz with, "What do you need?" Now I let them go to voicemail. I used to feel guilty for having money they didn't. Now I feel grateful I can help people who actually need it, like the third-year resident who cried in the stairwell after her dad stopped paying her rent and said, "Maybe you're not cut out for medicine." I gave her the number of a good lawyer and told her to get his name off the lease. I didn't offer to pay it myself. I'm generous. Not foolish. Then, one Sunday, Naomi posted a story of her holding a new car key. "Fresh start," she wrote. It was a Honda. The irony wasn't lost on me. The next day, a payment hit my account, $1,000. Labeled debt month 1. I didn't respond. I just logged it in the spreadsheet. 3 days later, Evan texted. "She's talking about therapy." I replied, "Good. If it's real." "She says you humiliated her." "I didn't humiliate her," I wrote. "She humiliated me. I just stopped paying for the stage lights." He didn't reply for a long time. Then finally, "I know. That weekend, I drove the Audi one last time. It was raining. The coconut perfume had finally faded. I pulled into the dealership and handed over the keys. Clean title. No balance. The manager whistled. She's in good shape. She looks better than she felt, I said. I walked out without a second glance. That night, I made dinner for myself, pasta, garlic bread, the good kind of alone. I watched a movie I hadn't seen since med school. I slept in. I watered the plant I'd put on my windowsill and realized it was still alive, despite my neglect. So was I. By month 3, Naomi had made 3 payments. Each one labeled debt, month X. No messages. No late fees. No attempts at contact. And that silence, that consistent, disciplined silence, was the loudest thing she'd ever given me. I didn't know what to do with it. I checked her social media less. The drama had cooled. No more veiled shots. No Audi posts. Just pictures of her French bulldog, a new job at a boutique agency, and one blurry image of Evan moving boxes into what looked like a downtown apartment. Evan and I hadn't spoken since that last text. I figured he was finding his own footing, the way you do after you step off a ride that used to be your life. Then, one morning, a package showed up on my doorstep. Small, brown, with neat handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside, a book. Boundaries, when to say yes, how to say no. No note. Just a bookmark tucked at chapter 3. The guilt trap. I stared at it, and for a second, just a second, my chest pulled tight. Not pain. Not regret. Something softer. Like the ache of a muscle you didn't know you had until it started healing. I set the book down and went to work. That week, a teenage patient gave me a drawing. It was a stick figure with big eyes and a surgical mask. "Thank you for saving my stomach," it said in crayon. I pinned it to my call room wall, right above the old scuffed whiteboard that says Team, in crooked Sharpie. And I realized, no one in my family had ever drawn me anything. Not a card. Not a note. Not even a thank you. They expected me to show up. They expected me to pay. And when I stopped, they expected me to explain myself. So I didn't. I just lived. I went to the farmer's market. Bought peaches. I met a barista who remembered my name. I took a weekend trip to the mountains with no phone signal and didn't miss a single buzz. Meanwhile, Naomi's 4th payment came in early. $1,000. Labeled month 4. And then a second transfer followed it, $100, labeled sorry. No text. No context. Just those 5 letters. I stared at the screen for a long time. It wasn't an apology. Not really. It was a flicker. Like someone far away waving a match in the dark to say, "I'm here. I might be different." I didn't reply. I logged it. I closed the app. But something loosened in me. That night, Evan called. "Just once," he said. "I thought you'd want to know, Naomi's in therapy. Real therapy. Not the kind with hashtags." He paused. "She's trying." I asked. "Is that why you're still around?" "I don't know," he said. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just waiting to see if she learns to hold her own umbrella instead of stealing everyone else's." There was a silence. Then I asked, "How are you?" And he said something I'll never forget. Lighter. For months after the wedding, Naomi showed up at the hospital. No warning. No appointment. Just her, in the lobby, holding a plastic bag with a Tupperware container inside. "I made lasagna," she said. "It's terrible. But it's food." I stood there in scrubs that smelled like iodine and fatigue, waiting for the catch. "There's no message," she added quickly. "I'm not here to make a speech. I'm just here." We sat on a bench near the loading dock, beside the vending machines that hum like they're tired too. She handed me the lasagna, and I didn't say thank you right away. "You sent $100, I said instead. She nodded. "I owed you more than that." "I owe you a lot more than that." Silence stretched between us. Not awkward. Just honest. "I've been reading the repayment plan every month," she said. "It's weirdly kind. No interest. No fees. Just structure. Do you know what it feels like to be held accountable without being crushed?" I shrugged. "Surgical billing has ruined me. I like clean margins." She laughed. It was the first time I'd heard her laugh without malice in years. "I was awful to you," she said. "I didn't just take your money. I took advantage of your silence. I figured if you didn't say no, it meant yes. But silence isn't consent, is it? I shook my head. No. She exhaled. You were right about everything. I thought the world owed me softness. And when you gave me structure instead, I called it cruelty. I studied her face. She looked tired. Older. But there was something steadier there now. Less sparkle, more weight. I can't take the condo, she said. You already didn't, I said. She smiled. Good. Because I found a roommate in mid-city. Rent's manageable. I take the bus now. It's humbling. Public transit will do that. Naomi looked down. I thought you gave me a condo to embarrass me. No, I said. I gave it to you so I could finally stop giving everything else. She nodded. I'm paying the debt. I'm going to keep paying it. Even if you forgive it someday, don't. I need the reminder. We sat quietly for a while. A gurney rolled by. Somewhere, a monitor beeped. Finally, she asked, Do you hate me? No, I said. But I don't trust you. Not yet. That's fair. She stood. I'll leave you alone. Just, if you ever want dinner that I didn't burn, let me know. I nodded. I'll think about it. She walked away. Didn't look back. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to chase her. A year later, Naomi still sends the payments. On time. Every month. The memo lines have changed. Month 5, learning. Month 8, still here. Month 11, almost human. Last month, she sent $1,500. Extra. The memo said, no strings attached. I haven't touched the money. But I haven't returned it either. My parents have gone quieter. They don't push. Not as much. I think they've finally realized I won't be the emergency exit anymore. I'm the surgeon. Not the donor. The condo? Rented to a medical tech and his husband. They pay on time. They send holiday cards. They hung curtains I would have never thought to pick. The Audi? Long gone. Sold it to a teacher who cried when I knocked $2,000 off the asking price because she seemed like someone who deserved a break. Sometimes I still hear Naomi's laugh in my head, the one at the reception, holding the deed like it was an insult. It doesn't sting anymore. It's just a checkpoint. A moment I pass through on the way to someone stronger. I walk to work now. I sleep more. I text my intern after tough cases. I visit the farmer's market on Sundays. The peach lady calls me .com and always slips me one extra. I keep the original wedding folio in a drawer labeled Clarity. It's not bitterness. It's just the map I used to find the exit. And I'm never going back.